Chapter 156, Collaborative Relationship. Is this your sister who graduated from Harvard? Is this her level of manners? Asked Fang Hao directly as they got into the car. Isn't she assertive enough? Jin Shaojian defended. I see it as making a scene. Maybe she just likes to show off at Harvard. Does she idolize foreign goods, bowing down to them, and looking down on us Chinese? Fang Hao commented. But my mom likes her and has been cultivating her, Jin Shaojian explained. Wait a minute, Shaojian, I have a question. Your sister and your mom share a surname, but you have a different one. What about your dad? Fang Hao inquired. My dad passed away. My mom thought I was useless, so she didn't think I deserved her surname and asked me to use my dad's surname. Don't make fun of me. This is my situation now. If you pity me, write me more drafts, Jin Shaojian explained with a wry smile. You're really downhearted. Your approach is unconventional. What kind of prospect do you have? Fang Hao remarked. Fang Hao, at least, you've earned more than 30,000 from me. That's almost half a year's salary for you, Jin Shaojian said. Oh my god. Fang Hao sighed. I'm not as fortunate as you with your background. If I were you, I'd fight for ownership of the company. If you're not up for it, I can help you. He continued, we met in this vast sea of people, and you had the courage to find me. Let's cooperate. I'll help you secure the family business. Once you prosper, don't forget to share some benefits with me. I won't need to write drafts for meager earnings then. Really? Fang Hao, can you really help me? Jin Shaojian asked eagerly. External help is just external help. It's your own desire that's the greatest motivation. Let me drive around here first, Fang Hao said, steering the car. Soon, he spotted the residence of Zhang Lingtian because there was a sculpture at the entrance. It was a headless statue. The head, or lack thereof, was still preserved in the stone, uncarved, while the rest of the body below the neck was perfectly sculpted. However, when Fang Hao saw the statue, his mind buzzed. He stopped the car, quickly got out, and looked through the gate. His eyes widened increasingly, hands tightly gripping the railing, almost wanting to break it. If this Zhang Lingtian was indeed the adulterer, the prototype of this statue was Su Rou. Because Fang Hao had adjusted his wife's body very well. After all, they had been living together for 4 years, and he had admired and explored her skin extensively. Being a genius doctor, he had a natural sensitivity to the structure of the human body. His wife's figure was perfect. All the proportions were in golden ratio. This statue, despite being 2 meters tall, had a base. In reality, it was sculpted in a 1-to-1 ratio with his wife's figure. That scoundrel had studied Su Rou so thoroughly. That scoundrel also liked his wife. His wife also liked that person. Fang Hao was extremely tormented at this moment. The woman he deeply loved was loved by someone else, and at the same time, his wife loved that person. Then, what was he? Brother Hao, what's going on? Jin Shaojian saw Fang Hao deeply engrossed in observing a headless sculpture, then lighting a cigarette without any intention of leaving. Jin Shaojian approached. Fang Hao said, Shaojian, ask auntie later about the property prices here. I'm thinking of buying a house in this area. Find out if it's expensive and how much for a full payment or down payment if on mortgage. Cough, Brother Hao, don't joke with me. Houses here are all over $1 billion. You can forget about it. With $1 billion, you'd have to write 1,000 articles at 1,000 each. Where am I going to find 100,000 sponsors? Jin Shaojian coughed, thinking Fang Hao's idea was too high-end. Being just a doctor, even if he wrote impressive research papers, it didn't mean he could make money. This place wasn't accessible just with wealth. Having a goal, having a dream, isn't that good? Let's go. Fang Hao finished smoking and walked away. This place was a key suspect, just a step away from conducting a DNA paternity test. How could he obtain Zhang Lingtian's DNA? Zhang Lingtian probably knew I'm investigating him, so he sent Yue Xia to act as a fake informant. If I get close, he might get suspicious. This old fox was cunning, like a chosen one. Leaving Tianjifeng, Fang Hao visited the sanatorium on the outskirts to continue acupuncture treatment for Zhang Jun. In the afternoon, he resumed his substitute teaching at Jiangdong University. Around 4 o'clock, he returned to the hospital. Fang Hao, thank you for your hard work. Go to Lu Yu's office, she's looking for you. Lu Jing expressed gratitude for Fang Hao's help with substitute teaching and treating old Zhang. What does Director Lu want with me? Fang Hao asked curiously. The woman you operated on has been looking for you all day, saying she wants to thank you, Lu Jing explained. Thank me? Is she giving me something? Can I accept it? Fang Hao rubbed his fingers, indicating money. The woman was a contractor, and he didn't want her to awkwardly offer him cash. Go find Director Lu, she's shrewd and will know what to do, Lu Jing suggested. Fang Hao nodded and went to the gynecology department. In the gynecology corridor, he met Li Xiaoxi coming towards him. He politely stepped aside. Li Xiaoxi paused in front of Fang Hao, turned to face him for a moment, wanted to say something but didn't, then turned and left. Fang Hao shrugged, thinking, do you want to scold me? But I'm not from your gynecology department. What can you do to me? He went to Director Lu Yu's office and found her talking with two young men. Director Lu introduced the two as the younger brothers of the woman who underwent surgery. Fang Hao shook hands with them. Judging by their appearance, they were both streetwise individuals. These days, being a contractor required having a few henchmen to manage projects. Dr. Fang, tonight at 7:30, we have arranged a banquet at the Star Sea Hotel. Please make sure to attend, one of the young men said, handing Fang Hao a business card with only a phone number on it. Fang Hao glanced at Lu Yu, who nodded in confirmation, so he accepted it. We'll see you tonight, don't let us down, the other young man added, and they left. Just a dinner invitation, nothing extravagant. Why are you so anxious? Lu Yu asked Fang Hao. Director, why did you agree without asking me first? I'm not familiar with them. It's inappropriate, Fang Hao complained. A man's gotta eat. Don't make a fuss about it. On another note, I have a patient here who needs surgery. If you can handle it, I won't bother the surgery department, Lu Yu said. Look for the surgery department. I'll talk to Director Lu about Zhang Jun's situation later. Fang Hao declined. Conducting gynecological surgery was a sensitive matter. What would Li Xiaoxi and the head of the surgery department think? He had to be cautious. Don't understand a thing. Forget it, I won't discuss it with you. If you're waiting for Director Lu's approval, I'll find her myself, Lu Yu said, waving Fang Hao away. Fang Hao thought, this Lu Yu wouldn't actually come, right? He had to inform Lu Jing quickly and be cautious about Lu Yu's hidden motives. Chapter 157, No Need to Scheme Against Me. Starsea Grand Hotel? The level is not low. These people are quite sensible. Go ahead. Whatever they offer, just accept it. Don't be polite with them, said Lu Jing straightforwardly. Unlike Lu Jing, Fang Hao thought it would be better to adapt to the situation. Whether to accept gifts or not, he had principles and bottom lines. Unlike Lu Jing, who had a husband with 500 properties and a good background, providing a safety net even if she left the hospital, Fang Hao was different. Once divorced, he would be a homeless wanderer in Jiangdong. He continued, Director, just now Director Lu Yu wanted me to go to the gynecology department again and arranged a surgery for me, but I declined. How about you talk to her and ask her not to invite me anymore? I will have tea with her tonight and talk to her, Lu Jing replied after some thought. She knew that her aunt was interested in Fang Hao's abilities and wanted to recruit him. In fact, she also valued Fang Hao's capabilities. Director, I'm on your side. Don't abandon me. Fang Hao joked. Loquacious. Lu Jing teased. After this brief exchange, Fang Hao finished work and headed home. He took charge of preparing dinner for the children. When his wife returned from work, she brought the children home. Dad, why aren't you eating? Jia Jia asked, seeing Fang Hao not having a full meal, only drinking soup. Suro also looked at Fang Hao strangely and asked, Honey, your body is just right. You don't need to lose weight, do you? I have someone inviting me for dinner later. I need to go out for a while, Fang Hao explained. Who? Someone you don't know. Fang Hao casually replied and then proceeded to serve food to his children. Watching his children eat, he felt content. Suro asked again, but Fang Hao ignored her. Feeling a bit dissatisfied, she sensed a change in the contrast between before and after. Over the past 4 years, Fang Hao had shared everything with her, allowing her to firmly control his thoughts and actions. Now, he was keeping things from her, making her feel a sense of estrangement. She quickly ate a few bites, then left and contacted a private investigator to closely monitor Fang Hao. At 7:15, Fang Hao arrived at the Star Sea Grand Hotel and realized that it was not only high-class but extremely luxurious. Is it necessary to have dinner here? It's a bit extravagant. Why not just give me the money instead? He didn't know which private room to go to, so he called the person on the card, who was in the lobby. The person instructed him to walk in. As Fang Hao walked through the lobby, he felt a strange sensation, as if someone was watching him. He thought, could it be that my wife hired a private investigator? Interesting. I come to have a meal, and you want to control me? Well then, investigate all you want. I stand upright and true, unlike you, who's a cheating scum. Dr. Fang, let's go to the top floor, the young man warmly said, leading Fang Hao into the elevator. You're being too extravagant. If we're going to have dinner, why not go to a street stall? This place is too high-end, it's not affordable for someone like me, Fang Hao said candidly. Dr. Fang, you've saved my sister and my nephew. It's a great favor to our family. Having a meal with you is only natural, the young man replied. This hotel is co-owned by my sister, and we're using her VIP card, so it's not much different from eating at a street stall. You call me a doctor now. Treating and saving lives is what a doctor should do, isn't it? How can I let you spend money? Consider it a one-time thing. If I have any medical issues in the future, I'll trouble you again, and I won't be polite. Let's not talk about these formalities. I see that Dr. Fang is a bit older than me, so I'll call you Brother Hao. I can't accept that. Oh, Mr. Tang, are you also in the business of running companies and projects like your sister? We do some small businesses without technical skills, just to make a living. Brother Hao, you're the one with real skills. Small businesses? Mr. Tang, you're quite modest. Fang Hao felt a bit skeptical, sensing an air of mystery about tonight's dinner. Before coming, he had checked the company owned by the maternity patient Tang Wan. Although it wasn't a very well-known construction company, there was extremely limited information available about Tang Wan online. There was only one news article from 3 years ago, stating that Tang Wan was one of the top 10 outstanding young entrepreneurs in Jiangdong City. She was the only female entrepreneur among them, owning nightclubs, bars, hotels, and more. At that time, it was said that she had created job opportunities for tens of thousands of women in Jiangdong City, especially for those who were re-entering the workforce after being laid off. The young man's name was Tang Qi. These were all influential figures in Jiangdong City. They wouldn't plot against a small doctor like me, would they? I have nothing, so what could they possibly want from me? As they conversed, an elderly man in traditional Chinese attire, aged around 70 or 80, entered the elevator on the next floor. The old man seemed a bit unsteady, leaning on a sturdy cane made of Nanmu wood. Fang Hao made way, creating a path for the elderly gentleman to enter more easily. As the elevator ascended, Fang Hao noticed a slight sway in the old man's body and instinctively reached out to support him. Sensing the elderly man's arm was unusually cold, colder than the average body temperature, Fang Hao felt something was amiss. However, having spent 4 years in the stroke center of the inpatient department, he had witnessed the lives of many elderly individuals. Despite feeling sympathy, he couldn't feel sorry for every elderly person. Old man, you have to face it. Similarly, one must also face the realities of old age. Cough, cough. The old man continued to cough a few times, and with each cough, his body trembled. Fang Hao furrowed his brows tighter. The old man's organ failure seemed severe. Did his lung function drop to 50%? There might be issues with the liver as well. Oh no, why am I analyzing this professionally? Judging by the old man's attire, he belongs to a respectable family and probably has family members taking care of him. The old man reached his floor, and Fang Hao assisted him out before returning to the elevator. As the elevator continued to rise, Tang Qi remarked, Brother Hao, you truly are a compassionate doctor. Tang Qi, let me ask you, were you able to assess the old man's condition just now? Fang Hao replied. It's hard to say. A proper examination at the hospital is necessary to draw conclusions based on various aspects, Fang Hao added. Tang Qi chuckled, he coughed just now. Could you deduce anything from the sound of his cough? Fang Hao hesitated. Mr. Tang, are you testing me? Tang Qi smiled. Let me put it this way, his lung function is quite poor. In the best case scenario, it might be only 50%. If it's not just a lung issue, the situation is even less optimistic. But at this point, it doesn't seem to be a lung problem. What is his problem? Tang Qi asked, raising an eyebrow. It's hard to say. We need to see the results of some tests before drawing conclusions. Mr. Tang, are you interested in medicine as well? Haha, I don't have that talent, but I have great respect for doctors. In my early years, I suffered from a serious illness, and it was thanks to doctors that I survived. Without them, I would have died. Unfortunately, I can only earn some crude money. Brother Hao, you're the real deal, a skilled and admirable doctor. I admire you. Mr. Tang, you're really flattering me. Chapter 158, The Strange Old Man. Miss Su, I can't access the top floor of the Star Sea Grand Hotel. I don't know the situation with Mr. Feng inside. I see. Keep an eye on him from outside, and continue monitoring when he comes out. Su Ro received a call from the private investigator, and her brows furrowed. Accessing the top floor of the Star Sea Grand Hotel required a VIP card. If she wanted to go, she would have to use her father's VIP card or leverage the resources of that person. Where did her husband go, and what was he doing? Why was he invited to have dinner somewhere? After some thought, she decided to contact that person. The person said, Miss Su, missing me? Come over, I have something new tonight. Su Ro responded, my husband went to the top floor of the Star Sea Grand Hotel. Since you have people, go and observe what he's doing. That's a small matter. Su Ro sighed, he's not talking to me now, with his mind set on divorce. I'm really worried. The person said, your little turtle is a bit restless. He came to Tianjifeng at noon. Su Ro was shocked, what? My husband went to Tianjifeng? How did he get in? Why didn't I know? He used Zhang Jun's car. He can go to many places with it. He's quite capable. I wasn't at Tianjifeng at noon, otherwise, he wouldn't have found me. Can you ask the Zhang family to take back that car? Don't give him a chance to act arrogantly. That's doable. I'll arrange it. Su, can you come out? I'm pregnant. What can I do if I go out? I won't go. I like the way you look when you're pregnant. It's been 3 or 4 years, it feels a bit unfamiliar. Come quickly, I'm excited. Shudo blessed, no. I won't go. I want to see my child. My husband is keeping a close eye on me, I don't want to die. That's it. She hung up the phone, caught in a dilemma. Her heart was troubled by her husband's desire for a divorce, fearing the negative impact it would bring. Most importantly, she didn't want a divorce because her husband satisfied her physical needs. Besides, he was handsome, outstanding, and young. After a divorce, she might not find such a man again. Looking at her husband from various perspectives, he was excellent. Life would be so much better if my husband didn't check up on me. Now I'm not free anymore. On the top floor VIP restaurant, there were no extravagant dishes. The dishes were delicately portioned. Fang Hao didn't drink but enjoyed the delicious food. This meal would cost at least 50,000. Taking advantage of his scrutiny of the dishes, he remembered the prices. When the dishes arrived, he compared them, all of which were signature dishes. Having eaten enough, Fang Hao said to Tang Qi, do you still have something to ask of me? I don't have any other skills, I'm just good at treating illnesses. Brother Hao, you're too modest. I'm grateful to Brother Hao for saving my sister and nephew. You're a top-notch doctor, and I want to make friends with you. I might not be educated, but I value cultured people the most. Tang Qi poured himself a glass of wine, he was a drinker. After this meal, let's not mention me saving lives. I'm a doctor, and it's my duty, Fang Hao said, taking out his phone to check the time. Although they hadn't been dining for long, the interval between each dish was quite lengthy. At that moment, the restaurant manager entered and said, who among you is a doctor? Come and take a look, a guest has fainted. Oh, I'm a doctor. Fang Hao stood up and went out with the manager. Tang Qi followed. The lobby manager said, the person who collapsed is an elderly man. We don't dare to move him randomly, but we've already called an ambulance. Fang Hao nodded and followed the manager to another private room on the same floor. He found it to be a very elegant space with a small table by the window, and an elderly man was lying beside it. This elderly man was the same one Fang Hao encountered in the elevator just now. What a coincidence! While examining, checking the pulse, inspecting the eyes, Fang Hao informed everyone, the old man is fine, we just need to wait for the ambulance. He asked everyone to move back a bit, giving the old man a spacious and well-ventilated space. The lobby manager asked, why did the old man faint? When will he wake up? From his pulse, there's no problem. For the specific reasons, we need to conduct a thorough examination at the hospital. Is there a way to wake him up? No need. He's fine, let him rest. There are signs of gradual freezing in his legs and arms. Without professional protection, moving him randomly could be harmful. Call the ambulance and ask them to come quickly. Fang Hao went outside the private room and whispered to the lobby manager, "Be careful, this old man is pretending. Did you offend him in any way?" The lobby manager raised an eyebrow and hurriedly said, "No. What should we do?" "As long as there's no issue, just wait for the ambulance." Fang Hao didn't say much. The lobby manager went to make arrangements. Tang Chi whispered to Fang Hao, "Brother Hao, how did you see that the old man was pretending?" It's hard to explain, but I won't be mistaken. Since I'm eating here thanks to your sister's investment, I want to remind you to be mentally prepared," Fang Hao said, repaying the favor of the meal. Tang Chi nodded in thanks, arranged for Fang Hao to return to the private room, and then went out. Upon returning, Fang Hao received a text message from his wife, asking when he would be back and advising him not to drink. Is she concerned about me? Fang Hao felt bitter. In these 4 years, whenever he went out for a meal, his wife never cared or asked. He didn't reply to his wife's message but responded to Lu Jing's message. Lu Jing asked how he was doing, and he said it was just a meal, nothing else. While replying to the message, the waitress brought another exquisite dish. On a plate measuring 20 to 30 centimeters, there was a small abalone with some sauce around it. Fang Hao picked up the fork, skewered it, and put it into his mouth. The waitress smiled. "Dr. Fang, this is meant to be savored slowly." Fang Hao glanced at the waitress, finding her very beautiful. Whether it was an illusion or something else, there was a familiar meaning in her gaze, as if she knew him. "I come from the countryside and can't change my rude behavior. I might seem out of place, sorry if I offended you," Fang Hao casually said and took a sip of water. The waitress poured a glass of wine for Fang Hao. The previous dish should be paired with red wine to fully appreciate the chef's intentions. "I don't drink, thank you." Fang Hao refused to accept the wine. "I'll treat you, I'll leave with you later." The waitress spoke tenderly, her voice low but tempting. "I have a wife, I don't engage in extramarital affairs. Please be more self-respecting, miss." Fang Hao declined. TSK, then you're missing out on me. This is my number. After tonight, it will be gone." The waitress, with slender fingers, quickly wrote down all the phone numbers on the table, stacked them, and then put her fingers to her lips, blowing a breath. With light steps, she left. This little man is quite interesting. Chapter 159, My abilities are limited. Imperial physician? You want to train Fang Hao to be an imperial physician? At Lu Jing's home, after putting down her phone, Lu Jing heard her aunt, Lu Yu, insisting on sending Fang Hao to the gynecology department, with the reason being to train him as an imperial physician. Lu Yu said, "This is not just my idea, it's also Han Yun's idea." Regarding the incident with Li Wei, we weren't present, making it difficult to judge. However, I believe Fang Hao's words. He has no conflict of interest with Li Wei, so how could they have quarreled? Moreover, from the surveillance footage, Fang Hao walked into the ward one day, and within a minute, Li Wei was splashed with porridge. Then, that nurse stimulated Li Wei, causing ventricular fibrillation. Despite 3 defibrillations by the director of the inpatient department, they couldn't save Li Wei. It was Fang Hao who manually performed cardiopulmonary resuscitation to revive Li Wei's heartbeat. Han Yun's acupuncture treatment allowed her to recover. Zhang Jun's surgery and treatment, Zhou Fen's surgery and treatment, the balance treatment for myasthenia gravis, and the 2 maternity cases in our gynecology department, all show that he possesses medical talents beyond our reach. Such a person shouldn't be relegated to the infusion hall or the emergency department. Of course, he is young and needs experience, but it should not be aimless. Lu Jing said, Fang Hao is ambitious, but I'm afraid he might take too big a step. That young man isn't without ambition. It depends on whether he has the ability to fulfill it. Currently, his qualifications are a bit lacking to become an imperial physician. He still needs to temper his character. Lu Jing said, I plan to promote him to associate chief physician. Lu Yu said, he just became an attending physician, and he hasn't obtained his PhD. You can propose it, but the chance is not high. Also, Yang Wenjin and Zhou Long are close, she's determined to promote Zhou Long. I've heard there's an inclination from the provincial and municipal levels too. You need to be more active yourself, or your position as deputy chief may not be secure. Lu Jing said, unless there's a direct appointment, otherwise, my position is secure. Liu said, actually, whether you become the deputy chief or not is not the most important thing for you right now. Your top priority is to take advantage of Zhang Jun's recovery. You should quickly have a child with him. You're not young, and this might be your last chance. She looked at her phone, no messages yet, and continued, Zhang Jun has recovered quite a bit now. Is he still capable in that regard? I asked him, and he said he doesn't feel anything. But he wants to try medication. Did Zhang Jun ask Fang Hao to check? Fang Hao did check and said to wait until the body sends out healthy signals, such as dreams or morning arousal, before normal intimacy can occur. Sigh, I'm afraid those young women can't wait and will stimulate Zhang Jun with medication. Really? Don't underestimate the ambitions of those young women. Fang Gu, this is boiled white cabbage. Tang Qi introduced a famous dish to Fang Hao. You're too generous, Tang Zong. I always feel uneasy when others treat me. Fang Hao was speechless. Tonight, he had tasted several famous dishes. Before this boiled white cabbage, there was even a mini version of Buddha jumps over the wall. Such a lavish dinner was a first for Fang Hao. He was starting to believe more and more that Tang Qi had a purpose in inviting him. Sure enough, after Tang Qi had a drink, he said, Fang Gu, I treated you to dinner to thank you for saving my sister, and there's another purpose. I want to ask you to treat another person. Fang Hao said, the old man just now. Fang Ye. Tang Qi was surprised that Fang Hao guessed it right away. Tang Zong, I believe if it were just a common minor ailment, you wouldn't have sought me out. The issue with that old man, I'm afraid you know better than I do. I can't guarantee anything, but I'll do my best. Let's go over and take a look. Okay, Fang Gu, this way, please. Fang Hao went back to the previous private room and found the old gentleman, who was lying on the carpet before, now seated in an armchair, wearing a smile. The old man said, Dr. Fang, we meet again. Fang Hao was speechless and replied, there's no need for such formality, laying out a grand reception for me. I'm just a small doctor, insignificant. The old man replied, Tang Wan is my niece's granddaughter. I'm well aware of her situation. Your ability to ensure the safety of her and her child reflects your competence. I've also looked into your work at the hospital, dealing with challenging cases like Li Wei, Zhang Jun, Zhou Fen, and even Han Yun. It's evident that you have the capability. I may be old, but my mind is clear, and my eyesight is still sharp. I can tell you're a good doctor. Fang Hao thought, so, you've investigated me. After a moment of silence, he said, Old sir, I've had this meal with you now, and I also consider myself indebted. Let me examine your pulse. Approaching the old man, Fang Hao conducted a pulse diagnosis. The old man said, Feel free to speak, no need to be cautious. Fang Hao nodded but remained silent, continuing the examination by pressing on the old man's limbs and palpating the organs through his clothes. The old man asked, How much time do I have left? Fang Hao replied, Old sir, I'm straightforward. If my words offend, I ask for forgiveness. Based on the current situation, if it continues to deteriorate, in about a month, you won't be able to stand. In another 2 or 3 months, your legs will be completely frozen, with the worst-case scenario being amputation. Approximately a year. The old man frowned, his expression turning unpleasant. You said Li Wei could live for 3 to 5 years. How come my prognosis is so much worse? How do you know about Li Wei's situation? The old man asked. After Li Wei left the hospital, he came to me and talked about you. He called you the king of hell and asked me to declare your death sentence. Fang Hao sighed, thinking, Li Wei, you old scoundrel, are you trying to trap me? The old man continued, so, according to you, I only have a year? It's like a death sentence. But I have money and connections. I don't want to die. You just said that if the situation worsens, in about a month, I won't be able to stand. In another 2 or 3 months, my legs will be completely frozen, with the worst-case scenario being amputation. Can't you treat me to improve my condition? Fang Hao replied, I can. I can slow down the progression and improve your condition, but I can't guarantee a complete recovery. Old sir, your illness has been accumulating for quite some time, and some organs have already started to fail. This is determined by the physiological structure of the human body. I don't have the miraculous ability to reverse it. The old man asked, if it improves, to what extent? With strict treatment, a regular lifestyle, and acupuncture sessions, I can't promise 10 or 8 years, but I can maintain your current mental state for 6 or 7 years, possibly even longer. However, I can't guarantee a complete recovery. 6 or 7 years? Can't it be longer, or achieve a complete recovery? My abilities are limited. That's the extent of what I can do. Fang Hao sighed inwardly. With your condition, if there's a place where it can be treated, would you come to me? It's an incurable disease. I'm not a deity, I dare not claim to cure it. The old man asked, so, how do we proceed with the treatment? Fang Hao explained, a combination of Chinese and Western medicine, occasional minor surgery if necessary, and acupuncture sessions. When should we start the treatment? I believe you've taken Ong Nyohuang pills or a similar tonic during this period. As the medication is still effective, treatment isn't necessary today. If you decide to proceed, come to the hospital tomorrow. I don't want to stay in the hospital with many people around. Tomorrow, I'll have Tang Qi pick you up. Fang Hao saw some paper nearby, quickly wrote down a treatment plan, and said, Old sir, this is a combination of Chinese and Western medicine. You probably have personal doctors, consult with them as well. I'm still young and inexperienced, there might be some inadequacies. With nothing else to discuss, Fang Hao left the room, waiting outside for Tang Qi. This floor was the VIP section, and to go down, a card needed to be swiped to activate the elevator. Chapter 160, Pain and Joy. Hauge, thank you. I'll take you downstairs now. Tang Qi approached, opened the elevator, and gestured for Fang Hao to enter. Tang Qi added, Hauge, please keep tonight's visit to my grandfather confidential. Fang Hao inquired, your grandfather? I'm not prying into your privacy, I'm just curious. Why seek medical attention this way? Going directly to a hospital or a sanatorium, and I could have come to check there. No need for such elaborate arrangements and expenses. Tang Qi explained, my grandfather has quite a few companies under his name, and the transition hasn't been fully completed. If news of his serious illness spreads, it will affect the stock prices. I see. I won't gossip about it. You can trust me on that. Fang Hao, with a hidden agenda, continued, Tang Zong, since you've mentioned confidentiality, it reminds me of something. Last time, when I was at the backlit sanatorium, someone pretending to be a patient sought me out. After they got information about my whereabouts from the director, nobody came to find me. I suspect someone was tracking me. Someone's tracking you? I'll have someone look into it. However, Hauge, you can rest assured, our country's public security is still very good. Yes, I believe that too. Fang Hao didn't say much, subtly hoping that Tang Qi would get rid of the private detective his wife had hired to follow him. Now that he had joined Tian Zhifeng's investigation, focusing on Zhang Lingtian, if his wife informed Zhang Lingtian, the adversary would be in the light, and Fang Hao would be in the open. Ever since Zhou Jiejia appeared, Fang Hao knew that his wife had teamed up with her lover to cover up the clues of her affair, even going to great lengths to conceal her lover. In this way, without direct evidence, his wife wouldn't admit to the affair, and she wouldn't agree to a divorce. Fang Hao hoped his wife would confess to her affair, but he knew it was wishful thinking. Now, he needed to find her lover and make sure both his wife and her lover faced societal death. Only after confirming the identity of her lover could he seek revenge. Fang Hao returned home and informed Lu Jing that he had been requested by a fellow patient, Li Wei, to visit someone. He provided the treatment plan but didn't directly administer any treatment, leaving room for the patient and their family to make a decision. Lu Jing understood without asking too many questions and advised Fang Hao to rest early. Upon arriving home, Fang Hao had barely stepped out of the elevator when he received another message from Tang Qi. Surprisingly, it contained some photos, revealing that he was indeed being tracked by a private detective from a detective agency. Fang Hao claimed not to know these private detectives and asked Tang Qi to handle the matter himself. Standing in the corridor, Fang Hao smoked a cigarette, waiting for more than 10 minutes. Eventually, he received another message from Tang Qi, indicating that they had captured and roughed up the private detective, extracting information about why he was following Fang Hao. It turned out to be a commission from Su Rou, aiming to find evidence of Fang Hao's affair. Fang Hao felt a chill in his heart. He suspected that his wife had hired a private detective, but discovering the actual detective made a significant difference. Tang Zong, this is my family matter. Just let go of that private detective. Hauge, I'll listen to you. If there's anything I can help with, I'll definitely assist Hauge. Fang Hao closed the chat, extinguished the cigarette, and returned home. Entering the house, he saw Suro coming out. From her calm expression, she seemed unaware of the private detective's activities. "Husband, you didn't drink, right?" Suro approached and sniffed but didn't detect any alcohol. She said, "Drinking and driving is dangerous. I'm afraid of drunk driving." "Oh, when you used to drink and drive, and I warned you to be careful, you called me nagging. Besides, when you got drunk, you would directly book a room outside and wouldn't come home. That time, were you with your lover?" Fang Hao cast a contemptuous glance at Suro. "Husband, don't you trust me? I really don't have a lover. You're the only one I love," Suro hurriedly said as she approached to help Fang Hao change his shoes. "Ah, Suro, over these 4 years, you managed to deceive me. Now that I know everything, can you really continue to deceive me? Forget it. These 4 years are in the past. Let's part ways amicably. This home." Fang Hao stood in the living room, surveyed the surroundings, and with a clear mind, said, "Suro, let me tell you something. In fact, I don't like the layout of this room because I am a traditional person. The overall style here leans too much towards modernization, even Western influences." Suro was surprised. She didn't expect Fang Hao to bring this up again. This was what she feared the most, especially seeing Fang Hao so composed and not showing any signs of distress. It was evident he had a plan. She came over and hugged Fang Hao from behind, saying, "Husband, if you don't like it, we can redecorate. We'll go with the style you prefer." "No need. We're getting divorced, and you're getting rid of me. You'll be with your beloved, so why bother redecorating to my liking? Are you playing hard to get?" "Fang Hao, what's gotten into you? You haven't been drinking." "Yeah, I haven't. I'm very clear-headed now. The style of this house is yours, different from the style in your office. I understand. This is the style your lover likes. This is your love nest with him. Haha." Suddenly, Fang Hao thought of something. He realized that the style here shared many similarities with the painting style of Zhang Lingtian from Tianji Feng. A person's style doesn't change, especially for intelligent geniuses, and their distinct style becomes more apparent. He couldn't comprehend the style of the painting in Su Jie's study, but after carefully examining it, he found traces of the statue from Zhang Lingtian's courtyard. The three, Su Jie's study, the room's decoration, and Zhang Lingtian's painting, had common elements. Could it be Zhang Lingtian? Fang Hao increasingly felt that his wife's lover was Zhang Lingtian. "Fang Hao, do you want a divorce because you have another woman outside?" "Another woman? You wouldn't have brought it up if I hadn't mentioned it. It's really strange. I used to think that I was lucky to have you, but in the end, I found out you were cheating on me. You betrayed me. You're a liar. I don't think you're worth it anymore. Instead, many women are approaching me. During dinner just now, there was a beautiful woman, quite similar to you upon closer inspection. She left me her number, suggesting I contact her, and I could take her away tonight." Suro let go of Fang Hao, crossed her arms, and looked at Fang Hao coldly, saying, "Then why didn't you give her your number or go with her? In these 4 years, I've become old news and can't compare to someone new." Fang Hao laughed, saying, "Jealous? Angry?" Suro said, "So you want a divorce not because of me but because you have someone else outside? Fang Hao, I despise you. Haha. In these 4 years, you never thought highly of me. Now think about it. Can you recall anything in these 4 years that moved you about me? What you can't think of is because you never cared about me. As for that woman just now, she's just trash. Do you really think my taste is that bad? Fang Hao, do you have any evidence to say such things about me? You're insulting me. You owe me an apology." "Insult you? Apologize? Rest assured, on the day the truth is revealed, you'll realize how rotten you are. Are you trying to infuriate me? If you're infuriated now, get ready to be infuriated in the future. In these 4 years, the joy between you and your old lover, in the future, you'll either be happier or in pain."